Sanitization, escaping, and localization tags are some of the most important tags that you can learn about in WordPress development. The reason is that they help make your theme or plugin more secure and more open to translations. So to dig deeper into these topics, let's first define them. Sanitization, according to the WordPress handbook, is the process of cleaning or filtering your input data. Escaping is the process of securing output data by stripping out things that are unwanted. And localization is the process of translating text based on user language or locale. So to break these down a little bit more, let's say that we have a form somewhere on our site. Maybe it's a plugin on the back end or a front end form. When a user submits data or inputs data, we need to sanitize it, and that is where sanitization occurs. So before anything ends up in our database, we are sanitizing it and stripping out anything that may be unfriendly. Now, what are things that may be unfriendly? Unfriendly things may include lines of SQL that will run actions on our database, either changing data, deleting it, or hacking it in other ways. They may also be inputting data that may not be harmful right away in the database, but once it's pulled out in display, could be harmful there. So WordPress has a number of built-in features that will help us sanitize our data whenever we're saving it. And this is one of the things that makes WordPress pretty secure if you follow these rules and use these template tags. If you don't, and you ever just take user data, whether on the front or back end, and save it directly to the database, you could be opening up serious security risks for your site. So next up is when we're taking information out of the database, and that is when we're going to be escaping it, which is also a process of cleaning up our code, but it's done mostly so that when code is displayed on the front end of our site, it's not doing anything unintended or malicious. So what are some examples of this? Well, let's say that we had some JavaScript saved in the database that somehow got there because maybe it wasn't sanitized, and then when we go to display it on the front end of the site, it could execute something, doing something that we really might not want it to, such as displaying cookies, gathering user data, maybe trying to send off an email or something like that. So for all these reasons, whenever we're pulling stuff out, we always want to go under the premise that we should escape it. Even though we might assume, hey, once it's in our database, if we sanitize it, isn't it fine? Well, we don't want to make those assumptions as solid programmers with security in mind. So escaping is going to be the process of cleaning up our data before it's displayed on the site. And there are, again, a bunch of WordPress functions or template tags that will help us with this. Finally, we have the process of taking a string of text and then localizing it or translating it so that it can be displayed in different languages depending on the user's locale or their selected language. So localization is the process of adding hooks in our code that will let this translation process happen. Now, we're actually not going to go in depth into how this localization process happens, but we will look at some localization tags that will allow us to have our theme or plugin easily translated by other people. So let's close out this introduction by saying that sanitizing, escaping, and localizing our data is essential in WordPress development. And in the next few lessons, we're going to take an in-depth look at what sanitizing, escaping, and localizing tags we have available and how we should be using them.